Welcome back. Now, as we've been reporting this morning, Syrian rebels have toppled President Bashar al-Assad's regime, eliminating a 50-year rule from his family dynasty after just 11 days of sweeping offensive, ending in the taking of the capital of Damascus. Now, thousands have taken to the streets to celebrate, chanting freedom, as the Prime Minister, Mohammed Ghazi al-Jalali, says that he is ready to cooperate and that the country should have free elections so the people can choose who they want to lead. Assad has now fled the country and his destination is unknown. His aircraft reportedly flying towards Syria's coast, but then making an abrupt U-turn before disappearing off the map. For more, let's welcome in former Green Beret and Navy veteran, former Senior Department of Defense Advisor Jason Beardsley, as well as National Security Analyst Ryan Mauro. Jason, thank you for both of you, gentlemen. Thank you for joining us this morning. But Jason, I'm going to begin with you. This is monumental for the people of Syria, but there are still some concerns with some Islamist factions involved in this. What do you think will happen next in Syria?
Boy, that's a terrific question. And we're really at the precipice, as you said, is something monumental. But at the end of this, what the real problem is, we don't know who takes over. And the forces that did this movement into the capital have been traditionally aligned with al-Qaeda or Islamic factions. We still have U.S. troops on the ground, both in Syria and Iraq. So the destabilization here, whether it's in the north or in the south where the Golan Heights are, is something that everyone's got to take an eye towards and look at. And I know Commander Fenton or General Fenton had some comments yesterday, not quite sure yet what the military disposition for the United States ought to be. But representing some veterans, I would say that it's very important that the United States, as President-elect Trump has indicated, is not involved in this in any way militarily. This could go 100 different ways. We don't know which factions are going to take power at the end of this. So like many things that start out as looking good or the Arab Spring or something, at the end of this is a lot of chaos.
Certainly. But Ryan, let's just talk a little bit further about the U.S. involvement, considering the Kurds and the place that they are strategically in this war as well, because now they have said that they will be turning on the Kurds. And they are a U.S. ally, and they're the West's strongest ally that are really holding that area together.
Right. So U.S. forces are already involved. I mean, there's a base that they operate out of. They work with the Syrian Democratic Forces, which is a more rebel-aligned coalition that consists largely of Kurds, but in terms of manpower also includes an almost equal number of Sunni Arabs as well as a Christian component, and actually controls most of the oil and gas. So the U.S. is involved. It's not a matter of whether we get involved, because we're there. Now, it's possible we may pull out, but the consequence of that would be that Turkey and its jihadist allies, like those linked to al-Qaeda that are getting all the attention because they're leading the fight, will then massacre them. And the U.S. has a history of doing this, that we ally with the Kurds and other local forces, and then we, when things get tough or we're distracted, we then turn the other way, and then they get hammered. And that's what Turkey and the jihadists are actually, reports are coming in right now, that they're already attacking some of these U.S.-aligned forces. And then there's also rebel groups in the south, and reportedly Israel has worked with about a dozen of them. So there are options besides the al-Qaeda types.
Yeah, I was going to talk about Israel next, with them now bolstering up the buffer zone between their borders as well. But former UN Ambassador John Bolton actually spoke about it yesterday. So quickly, let's get his take.
This whole opportunity for the rebels in Syria, we owe to Israel. And we owe to Israel's destruction, ongoing destruction of Hamas in the Gaza Strip, and its ongoing dismemberment of Hezbollah in Lebanon. The Middle East is definitely changing to Iran's detriment.
Jason, he does have a point there. There is a lot of other foreign wars that are distracting these powers from Syria, which basically led to Assad's demise. How do you think Israel is going to handle this moving forward?
Well, I think you saw the first indications with the occupation of more of the Golan Heights. Remember, that agreement, the UNDF, the United Nations Disengagement Observer Force, was signed between Israel, the state of Israel, and what was previously the Assad government. That government is gone. There's nobody on the other side of the agreement. So Israel's first and foremost tenet is here to shore up their defense. I think they're doing that. They're going to need to see who's on the other side of this before they renegotiate a new agreement. But the UN is in an awkward place right now because there is not a party backing those signed pacts or treaties, whatever you want to call them, ceasefires, until we seat a new government or see a new government seated in Syria. So their first objective is going to be defense, protection of the citizens and civilians on both sides of this thing, and to ensure that the most amount of stability can be seen. Not an easy task. Golan Heights, notoriously tricky. A lot of this terrain gets very difficult. So you're going to end up seeing a lot of like barriers put up and forces that are incrementally taking back some of those areas that they over the years have ceded.
This all leads, basically, this is just one step closer to the fall of the head of the snake, which is Iran. We're now seeing Russia is now kind of moved out and doesn't want to be involved in this anymore. Hezbollah have retreated. Things are not looking good for the Iranian regime. Where do you think that this will go? And do you think the Iranian people who have been protesting the regime for so long will seize this opportunity, Ryan?
Well, I think that there's going to have to be a spark inside of Iran that rallies everyone together, because you have to have a lot of people acting all at once. But you do have all of the ingredients there, especially now, for there to be a revolution or multiple revolutions going on inside of Iran. That regime, I think everybody understands now, is much weaker than most of us have thought, including myself. And so I think it's really only a matter of time before that theocracy falls. But there are also positive effects for this, not just strategically for the U.S., Israel, and our allies in the region, but also here in the homeland. Because there are many groups that I monitor as part of my work at Capital Research Center that are pro-Hamas, pro-Assad, pro-Iran. And they were doing all the demonstrations on college campuses and other places. And I remain still very concerned about their level of extremism. But I've got to say right now, these Hamas lovers, I'm looking at their chats, they're awfully quiet right now. And so that means that this is a good sign. When they shut up and when they can't even attempt to spin something, they're just not talking about the fact that Assad fell, then things are going our way right now.
I did think the same thing. I'm like, these protesters are awfully quiet on these streets. When Israel's not involved, there's nothing to really protest about. We've got about 30 seconds left. I've got a minute left. I'll give you both 30 seconds each for your final thoughts. Jason?
Yeah, final thoughts here. The United States has been involved in a lot of these wars that we have no real ROI on. The United States putting 900 soldiers right now on the ground, and I've been in these positions as a special operations guy. We are risking our own blood and treasure. So if there are not clear objectives and goals that can be achieved for the American constituent, as President-elect said, it's best to stay out. You've got to let these things play out. There may be benefits that attend to us, but we should not be part of this embroiling situation, even as it escalates. It's easy to get excited about regime change, but it's very dangerous once we start putting our hands on the lever, unless we have perfectly clear goals, which we have not done for the last 2 and 3 decades.
Ryan, 30 seconds.
I mean, all of that is true in principle, but there is also a financial cost to people's investment portfolios and the economy overall when you have groups like those linked to Al-Qaeda seizing oil and gas areas of Syria and smashing, like I said, the Syrian Democratic Forces. So not getting involved doesn't mean that you're not paying a price. It's just you're paying a likely greater price through a different means.
Gentlemen, fantastic discussion. Really appreciated both your insights on this. Jason Beardsley, Ryan Mauro, thank you very, very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.